Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out this movie review. So today we'll be continuing with my current horror franchise that I'm taking a look at, and that's the Friday the 13th franchise. And today we're going to be taking a look at Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, which is right here on my 8-pack Blu-ray collection here. So I'll just kind of go through the setup and the premise of the film, and then I'll get into my thoughts and review, which will contain spoilers. So, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood is a 1988 American slasher film directed by John Carl Buechler and starring Lincoln, Kevin Blair, Susan Blue, Terry Kaiser, and Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. It's the seventh installment in the Friday the 13th franchise. It's set years after the events of Part 6, Jason Lives. The plot follows a psychokinetic teenage girl who unwittingly releases Jason from the tomb at the bottom of Crystal Lake, allowing him to go on another killing spree in the area. Simple, sounds simple enough. So after witnessing her alcoholic father physically abusing her mother, a young Tina Shepard attempts to escape the chaos at home and heads out into Crystal Lake in a boat. When her father follows her in an attempt to stop her, Tina previously dormant telekinetic abilities emerge and she accidentally destroys the dock and her father is standing on, causing him to fall into the lake and drown. So years later, teenage Tina is still struggling with remorse surrounding her father's death. Her mother, Amanda, takes her to the same lakeside residence as part of the treatment from her psychiatrist, Dr. Cruz. Cruz begins a series of experiments, verbal assaults, designed to agitate Tina's mental state, forcing her powers to become more pronounced. In reality, he is only trying to exploit her psychic powers. After a particularly upsetting session with Dr. Cruz, Tina runs from the cabin to the dock, thinking about her father's death. While thinking about him, she wishes he would come back. Her powers unwittingly awaken mass murderer Jason Voorhees, who was chained at the bottom of Crystal Lake years ago at the end of Part 6. And he emerges from the water to commit another killing spree. So it's pretty simple, pretty basic. The sort of the setup of the movie. That's basically how the movie starts out here. Um, so the cast is we got Lar Park Lincoln as Tina Shepard, Kevin Blair as Nick Rogers, Susan Blue as Mrs. Amanda Shepard, Terry Kaiser as Dr. Cruz, Susan Jennifer Sullivan as Melissa Ashley, Emerson Parr, and Elizabeth Caitlin as Robin Peterson, and Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. So yeah, that's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Um, so yeah, I'll just kind of get into my thoughts and review. Yeah, I kind of struggled to come up with pros for this movie. I'll be honest with you. It's not awful. It's just it's very vanilla to me. But I'll get into my thoughts. I'll start with the pros that I have. Obviously, this starts the Kane Hodder era as playing Jason. This is the first of four movies, I believe, that he portrays Jason, and obviously Kane Hodder's a legend. I mean, in many people's eyes, he's the best Jason. I'll have to wait until the end of the series and go back and think it over about if I have him as the best Jason. But he's certainly up there. He definitely plays Jason a very unique style that's all his own. So that's definitely a plus, especially in this movie. I thought he was really good. The look of Jason in this movie it might be the best look of Jason, both when he has his hockey mask on and towards the end of the film when he ends up having his hockey mask getting blown off his face, basically, when it's ripped off. It's a very creepy, very scary version of Jason. Very effective, though, I feel like. Um, Another pro is the fact they tried something different instead of just rehashing counselors coming back to Crystal Lake to try to reopen the camp again or something like that. They definitely took a different approach with the whole telekinetic abilities. Um, it has a pretty good third act, pretty good third act battle or showdown between Jason and Tina. Not the very end, but like leading up to the end of the film. I think that's pretty good, and the things that they do to each other. Um, the way that Jason kills his victims, there's definitely some unique and new ways that he kills people. Obviously, this is the movie that has the famous sleeping bag kill, where he basically picks up a woman that's in a sleeping bag or a girl and just hits it against a tree. But yeah, he uses new weapons. He's got like a buzz, like a hand saw, electric saw that he uses. It's just it's a lot of new and different ways to kill people. Unfortunately, we don't get to see too much of the final result. I'll get into that with my cons. This movie has nudity and sex again, where the last movie really didn't, especially nudity didn't have any. This one does again, so it feels more in the vein of the Friday the 13th series, what it is. There's pretty decent atmosphere with the woods and the chases. It has pretty decent tension at times. And I also enjoyed Terry Kaiser, who plays Dr. Cruz. He really plays Dick well, because his character is a big old dick in this movie, and he does a really good job. Terry Kaiser's obviously the dead man from Weekend at Bernie's. That's what he is probably remembered most for, other than this. But so yeah, I really enjoyed his ability. He really does a good job of playing sort of the douchebag character. So those are my pros for the movie. As far as cons go, you got to start with the story. It's a pretty silly premise. It's more grounded in fantasy than anything in reality. As far as the origin of it, basically they needed to come up with a new idea with Jason, so they went and got a teenage girl that had these telekinetic Carrie like qualities. Which was interesting, I guess, but as far as coming up with the story, it's, not a very convincing premise or original. Tina's character as a final girl, I thought was pretty interesting, and she's just sort of a bland character. I'm not necessarily blaming Lar Park Lincoln. I thought acting wise, I thought she did okay, but I just don't think the character was really given enough. There wasn't enough written about her. It wasn't just not enough backstory or interesting. She's just not an interesting character, basically. Especially as a Carrie type of character, just kind of bland in my opinion. Another big problem: the side characters. Oh man, this might have the worst characters of any Friday the 13th movie up to this point. That's saying something. Um, Yeah, they're just badly acted, very cliche, poorly written. We don't know anything about 90% of these characters. They're just sort of the cliche characters, and really this is where we don't mind them. We don't mind seeing Jason kill them. Some of them not quite as fast as we would have liked, maybe, but yeah, the characters are just really bad in this movie. Another big problem, one of the biggest problems, is the watered down cutaway kills in this movie. Obviously, the MPAA, it's famously or infamously, depending on how you look at it, had their hands big time in this movie. In order to keep it at an R rating, they had to cut every single kill. So every time Jason kills somebody, it's basically a cutaway. You hardly see any blood. You hardly see any gore in this movie. It's just very disappointing and really leaves you with just a very unsatisfying and disappointing kills by Jason. I think it's a shame. I think if the MPAA wouldn't have hacked it up so much, I think the kills, given the originality of some of them and the brutality of Kane Hodder's version of Jason, I think they really probably would have been some of the best kills of the series. It certainly would have made the movie a lot more fun, that's for sure. So, yeah, very disappointing. Thanks, MPAA. Again, they do this recap at the beginning of the movie where they recap what happened in the previous movie. After seven films, you would think they would stop doing this by now, but they don't. They're still recapping the previous movie. Anybody that's watching the seventh movie in the franchise, if they don't know what happened before, shouldn't be watching this movie. So they really need to stop doing these recaps. It's very annoying. The ending is really poor in terms of like the very end of the movie. It feels very rushed and like they just needed to end the movie quickly. The fact that how Jason is defeated with her basically her resurrecting her dad to come up from underneath the dock and grab Jason with a chain and basically just bring him back down under the water. Not even a fight or any blood or anything with it. It's just, and then it cuts right to the end where they're being hauled away in an ambulance. It's just a very like, what the hell? It happens so quick. It's rushed. It's just such a bad ending. So unconvincing. I also thought the setting of Camp Crystal Lake was not as convincing. I know this one was shot in Alabama, this movie, where the other ones were shot, I believe, in California, maybe even New Jersey. That's where it's supposed to take place. I'm not exactly sure, but I know the setting's different as far as where they shot it. And it really shows, I think, in this movie. There's pretty bad acting in this movie across the board. The only exceptions would probably be Lar Park Lincoln and Terry Kaiser. They're okay, but everybody else is just awful. Um, no, I don't think the directing and the editing is particularly great. Now, some of the editing's based on what I don't like about the kills being hacked up. Like I said, no blood or gore in this movie. And overall, you take all that aside, and overall, it's just kind of a bland and clearly rushed Friday the 13th movie. This is kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street 5 or Halloween 5, where they got to the point in the series where they just needed to rush out another sequel for money's sake. They were doing these movies and all these franchises where they wanted to do them for really cheap and try to get them at the theater quickly to make as much money as they could. And all three of those movies, Nightmare 5, Halloween 5, and Friday the 13th 7, you can tell these were all rushed movies. And this movie, besides being rushed, is just kind of bland overall, in my opinion. I don't know, compared to the first six anyway. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 7, the New Blood guys. I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10. Probably a little kinder than I necessarily would be given I had more cons than pros. But I don't hate the film. It's not god awful, but it's kind of uninteresting. And just, like I said, the editing and the MPAA with the kills, um, just the characters and just the blandness of it, quite frankly, for me anyway. I know it has its fans, and like I said, it's not awful. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 on my rating. But I can't say that it's a Friday the 13th movie I would really reach for if I was in the mood for one. Um, it's probably going to be out of the first seven films. It's probably going to be the last one of those seven anyway that I reached for. So those are my thoughts. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of the New Blood. Subscribe, please like my video and hit the little notification bell. Subscribe to my channel to see future Friday the 13th review videos, as well as a ranking video at the end of the month and other horror standalone movie video reviews that I'll be doing. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.